All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a huge shift that's happening in the world of materials for body art professionals. There's this wave of new biopolymers about to crash onto the market, and believe me, it's going to make you rethink some of the choices you're making in your studio. So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. Is your go-to material, the stuff you've trusted for years, on its way out? It's a tough question, but you've got to ask it. Because as these new, documented medical-grade materials show up, the whole game is about to change. The standards for what's considered safe and high performance are getting a serious update. So what's behind all this? A number. This one, 166.7%. That is the insane projected growth in production for a special kind of biopolymer called PHA by 2026. This isn't just some tiny market trend. This is a tidal wave of new material flooding into the medical device industry, and yep, that includes professional body jewelry. And that brings us to our first section here. We're calling this the 2026 material shift, because a growth number like that, it's not just an update, it's a revolution. For you, it means you're going to have more choices, you're going to see different properties, and you're going to have a whole new set of questions to ask your suppliers. And let's be super clear here, this isn't just about some trendy eco-friendly plastic. We are talking about a totally new class of materials being engineered for things like medical implants. That means they're literally built to be pure and safe inside the human body, right from the start. This is going to create real, certified, high-purity alternatives to what you've got in your display case right now. So let's get to know the new players on the field. To really get ahead of this, there are two key materials you need to wrap your head around: PHA, which we just mentioned, and another really cool category called shape memory polymers, or SMPs for short. Okay, first up is PHA. Now, unlike your typical plastics that come from petrochemicals, PHAs are, well, they're essentially brewed by tiny microorganisms. Seriously. Think of it like making kombucha or beer, but instead of creating alcohol, these little bacteria produce a polymer. And that biological origin, it means everything when it comes to purity and how it interacts with the body. And this slide really breaks down just how simple the process is, on a high level. You feed certain bacteria, you put them under a little stress, in this case by limiting their nitrogen, and their natural response is to create and store these little polymer granules inside themselves. Then you just harvest the granules. It's basically a tiny, natural factory. But listen, not all PHAs are created equal. There's a specific type called medium chain length PHA, or MCL-PHA, and this is the one that's got everyone so excited. We're seeing new data showing it's not just super flexible, but it actually helps human cells attach and thrive better than some polymers that are already FDA approved. So what does that mean for you as a piercer? It means an ultra-flexible, super biocompatible option for those tricky spots, like nostril screws or oral retainers. Okay, now for the other category. Shape memory polymers, and these things are wild. They're what we call smart materials. Just imagine a piece of jewelry that you could squish down to insert easily, and then, once it's in place, it uses your own body heat to expand back to its full intended gauge. That's the kind of sci-fi stuff we're talking about with SMPs. But okay, let's pump the brakes just a little bit here. While SMPs are already being tested for medical implants, you can see from this timeline that they're not exactly ready for your studio tomorrow. We're probably looking at 2028, maybe even later, before we see actual working prototypes. So unlike PHAs, these are still a ways off. So we've got PHAs, which are right around the corner, and SMPs, which are a bit further down the road. To really get a handle on what's coming, we've got to put these new materials head-to-head with the stuff you're actually using in your studio today. Okay, first up, degradation. A super common material like Bioflex, it's designed to be totally inert and not break down. And that's great for long-term wear, right? But PHA, on the other hand, is designed to be completely biodegradable. This makes it an absolutely fantastic choice for temporary retainers or single-use tools that you don't want hanging around in a landfill forever. Next up, and this one is a huge safety issue, additive risk. A lot of flexible plastics, especially the ones based on TPU, need chemical plasticizers to make them bendy. The problem? Those chemicals can leach out over time. But because MCLPA is made by bacteria, it's just inherently cleaner. It has a much, much lower risk of nasty additives leaching right into your client's body. And here we have the whole shebang, the full breakdown. Let's just spend a second on this, because it's important. Look at that first row, base chemistry. You see it right there, traditional plastics versus fermentation. Now drop your eyes down to the additive risk row. See that high risk for TPU?
and compare that to the very low risk for MCLPH, that right there is a massive safety difference. And finally, check out the bottom row, readiness. This is your roadmap. BioFlex is what you have now. MCLPH is coming up next, especially for temporary stuff. And SMPs, they're still in the workshop.
You know, this whole additives thing is so critical, we've got to give it its own section. This is that hidden danger that can make a seemingly safe material a real nightmare. And it's the kind of thing your supplier might not be eager to talk about. Let's just start with this quote. It's pretty sobering. Certain chemicals, like PFAS, you might have heard of them as forever chemicals, are sometimes used to help manufacture plastics. But they don't always stay put. They can migrate out, and once they're in the body, they don't leave. And they're linked to some really serious health problems. So, the real takeaway here is you've got to worry about what's not on the spec sheet. It could be those PFAS chemicals or plasticizers or other stabilizers that can all leach out over time. When a supplier says something is additive-free, that claim means absolutely nothing without the hard data to prove it. So, how do you protect your clients and your business? You demand proof. Specifically, you ask for chemical characterization data that follows a specific international standard, ISO 10993-18. This test is designed to do one thing: find and measure any and all chemicals that could possibly leach out of a finished medical device. It's the gold standard. Okay, this brings us to the most important part, your action plan. Let's take everything we've talked about and turn it into a simple toolkit you can use to vet any new material like a total pro. All right, first let's get real about what to expect. Even though PHA is on its way, it's not going to be a cheap drop-in replacement for BioFlex, at least not at first. Expect to see it pop up in high-end boutique studios around late 2026, and it'll probably cost 2 to 3 times what you're paying now for a premium flexible piece. So here it is, your 3-step vetting process. It's super simple, but incredibly powerful. Number 1, demand that ISO 10993-18 leaching data. Number 2, ask your supplier directly to verify that their process is PFAS-free. And number 3, and this is so important, insist on getting the safety certification for the finished piece of jewelry, not just a datasheet for the raw plastic pellets they used to make it. That's a huge difference. We're going to end on this thought right here. This biopolymer boom is happening. The technology is moving fast. But this isn't just about cool new materials. It's a chance to really raise the bar for safety and care in your studio. The materials are absolutely evolving. The only real question left is, are you?